Hello. Today we're gonna do something a bit different than the last two videos. So we are going to do an in-depth VBA coding tutorial for SolidWorks from the start to finish. We're actually going to do a project that I did for a client that was requested. Basically, the macro will, for a piece, it will find all the holes and it will color them based on the diameter. Now we will do an in-depth tutorial, so there will probably be more parts to this video from start to finish. So if you guys find these videos useful, please leave a comment, like, and we can do more videos like this. So the first thing that you need to do is for VBA coding for SolidWorks, you need the API help. The API help contains the entire object library for the SolidWorks API. So what you need to do is go into the search command here and just write API help. Now there are two API helps. One is for the SolidWorks API and one is for the SolidWorks CAM API. We need the SolidWorks one. So here, and it will probably get you to the contents, go to index, and here you can search anything you like, the methods, the properties, the objects, everything. Now, one more thing is that you need to turn off the use SolidWorks web help. Turn this off, and because the website API help that's on the SolidWorks website is a bit confusing. It's much more clean and concise and easier to program with the local API help. Now for the first macro that we're going to do in this fashion, we go Tools, Macro, New, and let's call it Hole Coloring Macro 2. Instantly an IDE will appear, and let's do some code cleanup. I will not go too in depth here, but in the next videos I will probably go more in depth to explain everything. Okay. Now, the first command that we're going to type out is set svmodel equals svapp.activeDoc. Now, for you to understand this method, you can go to the SolidWorks API help and let's write in ActiveDoc and go for the iSolidWorks object, and it says gets the currently active document. Now, what that means essentially is the following. I have a part here, a SolidWorks part or a SolidWorks document. A SolidWorks document can be an assembly, it can be a part, or it can be a drawing. I currently have this SolidWorks part called Coloring opened up. And it is the last thing that I interacted with graphically in the graphic interface of SolidWorks. Now, if I were to do this, so let's message box svmodel.getTitle. Now, getTitle just gets the name of the document file. And when I run this macro here, it will write out the name of the part. Now, for you to understand this better, let's make a new part. So we're gonna go here. Let's go File, New, Part, and it will instantly be named Part 1. And let's just model something quickly here. Okay, now we have two parts. two SolidWorks part documents opened up at the same time, coloring and part. Now, if I were to go part and interacted with it and went back to the macro and wrote out the same thing I did previously, and if I were to run it, it would say part 1, because the last thing that we interacted with graphically in the SolidWorks interface was part 1. If I went into coloring and interacted with it and went back and ran the macro, it would say coloring. If this isn't the only way to grab an active document, you can actually open them up with paths, so each and every file on Windows has a path to it, so you can open a part or a drawing or an assembly file with the path. You can loop through different documents of SolidWorks, but if you are looking at an active document, use this method, active doc. Now, there are three types of documents in SolidWorks. You have the assembly doc, so an assembly, and it contains methods, properties for the assembly document. You have the part doc and the drawing doc. We're working currently here with parts. So in order for us to get the body, this solid body that we have here, and get the faces and then get the surfaces, we need to get the bodies. But in order to get the bodies, we need to first get the part file, because the part file contains these objects of solid bodies. Now, objects of solid bodies. Now, the first thing that we need to do is, this is actually a way to describe the hierarchy the object hierarchy in SolidWorks. You have the, let's see here, so you have the SolidWorks application object. Then you have the model doc object, which is any document, any model, any document in SolidWorks that was made with SolidWorks. And we grab the active document, so we instantiated it with the active document. So we set this variable that is type object model doc2 to the currently active document. Same with the application. Now we need to declare some variable that we're going to put of the type part document that we're going to put our current part document into. So SV part doc as SolidWorks .part doc, and let's set the SV part doc to the SV model. Now, if we were to have an assembly opened up and we did this, we would get an error, because this is a part document, and you can check what type of model are we working with. Is it a part document? Is it an assembly document? Is it a drawing document? But about that in some later videos. Now we have the part doc. We need to, let's just close this part 1 here. We need to grab this body here. We need to grab an instance of the body which is in our active document. So let's go to the API help, and let's go part doc, and let's see what kinds of methods and properties we have. And one property that is interesting to us is get bodies to. Now it says gets the bodies in this part. So what we do is we say okay, and just a second here, let's see what it returns. It returns a system object. Now, a system object. This will be an array of bodies. So we need to declare this as a variant. So a variant, you can put an array, this kind of array into an variant. So v bodies as variant, and we say v bodies equals to, now sv, since this is a method of the part document, sv part doc dot get bodies to. Now there are two arguments that we need to pass here, and they are described in the API, which is body type, and let's see what we have here. So all bodies, empty body, general body, graphics body, mesh body, minimum body, and so on. We can go with solid body for now. So we're gonna pass an argument 0 here. So this will just grab the solid bodies, and we have a second argument which says true gets only the visible bodies, false gets all the bodies in the part. What this basically means is that we can put it here false, and what it means is that if we were to hide this body, so if we were to do this, and in the function, in the method, we were to say true, the array wouldn't return anything because this only gets the visible bodies. And if you were to put in false, it would get the body nonetheless, no matter if it's hidden. Now, we are going to go with false here, and we're going to just make this body visible again. And now we have an array of bodies that we will grab from the currently active document. Now, if we were to do this, just so you understand what this function does, let's make a new body here. Let's select the loop here, convert entities, and let's extrude this body here. Let's go with 10 inches, and we won't merge the result, and we're just going to move the body like this. So you have two bodies, and let's actually make another one just so you understand this function. And let's go with this, and we aren't going to merge the results, and let's move the body here again, and let's say okay. And here we got all of these bodies. Now all of those three bodies will be inside of this array. Now let's loop through this array of bodies for I equals L bound. This is the lower bound of the already existing, because the array of V bodies already exists. The lower bound of V bodies to the upper bound of V bodies. And let's go with next I. And we're going to do is just showcase what happens here. We're gonna select everybody and run the code, so you see how it's looping through the bodies. So let's do this. So let's make a body2 variable of the type body2. This is an object for a body in SolidWorks, and let's set that to be bodies of I. And